Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Nova Gnome Creations and I'm Nova, and I am so glad you decided to join me today. If it's your first time being here, welcome to Mandala Tuesdays, and if it is not your first time, thank you so much for coming back. Today is our information in between mandala blankets video. So next week we start our second mandala blanket, and I am so excited. I know a lot of you are planning on joining this time, and no pressure to join at all. If you just enjoy watching, that is totally fine. But if you do want to join, my email is in the description, and you are totally welcome to send me updates on your blanket, and I pop them into my videos when I post them on Tuesdays. Whichever ones I've gotten that week. You don't have to be at the same part of the blanket that I am or that anyone else is. Go at your own pace. And if you send me an update, I'll put it in the video. Okay, so into the info of the blanket. If you're planning on joining or if you're just going to watch, this is what's going to be going on. So we are doing the Yarnspirations circular fall mandala throw again, and it is by Yarnspirations, and it is designed by Lisa Gentry. There is a video crochet along though series, which I will always link in the description for all of my Mandala Tuesday videos, by the Crochet Crowd. I highly recommend it. It is a fantastic crochet along. Since this is the second blanket that I'm doing, I've actually done the whole crochet along, and I found it super helpful. I think it makes it like so possible to do the blanket, honestly, without having any difficulty or being like, afraid that I might not understand something. And also it is useful to learn from, because you use diagrams, like crochet diagrams. I'm trying to flip to one. So there's written instructions, and then there's also diagrams, so it's a pretty detailed pattern. So there's kind of something for everyone, depending on what you like. Or you can use a combination of both. Plus there's the crochet along. But he actually uses the diagram and kind of shows you and talks you through what you're going to do, and then shows you what you're going to do. So it's also really useful for getting good practice and learning how to read crochet diagrams. So I found that super helpful. This was the first project I had done where we used a crochet diagram, and I felt like I learned a lot. Like, I just felt so much more like comfortable with understanding that type of thing by the end of it. Today I'm drinking a lemon and blackberry AHA again, if anyone wondered. Anyway, where were we? Okay, so it's crochet skill level intermediate, but with the crochet along, I would say as long as you know how to like single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, like, basic stitches, I think that you'll have no problem with learning as you go. Because, you're going to kind of build from there. Like, I think, well, technically there's a section for special stitches. So he's going to show you how to do all of these. So let me look at them. Yeah, so I would say as long as you know a single crochet, a double crochet, and a half double crochet, you'll be fine. You do treble crochets, but that's the same thing as a double crochet. You just wrap your hook one more time, and he shows you that, actually, if I remember right. And then like the special stitches that you do, like the popcorn and the puff stitch and petal stitches and stuff like that, he shows you how to do that, and those are just combinations of singles, doubles, half doubles, like in the same stitch and things like that. So I really honestly think this is a really great pattern for something that looks complex, but taking it one row at a time, it's really not. But that's just my opinion. What I would recommend doing, and what I did before I did my first blanket of this, was I actually went to the first rows 1 through 10 or 1 through 25, whatever the video is that he has, the first beginning rows of the blanket. I went and watched that without even starting, just like watched it to see if I could follow along, and I was like, I think I could definitely do this. Like, I was really surprised. So I would recommend doing that and see if like you feel like you could follow along. But anyway, I'm gonna stop trying to convince you that you have the power to do the blanket. If you want to, like I said, I'm not trying to pressure you. I just don't want anyone to feel like they can't do it because they're intimidated by it and they don't like they are too hard on themselves and they don't want to give themselves the opportunity to try to do it. You could always just work up a little like test swatch at the beginning, you know, and see how you're feeling about it before like, you know, you go and get the yarn for it or anything. So, if you do a test swatch for this, there is a gauge check, and he talks about this in the videos. There's 2 videos before the actual rows start, and one of them is just kind of explaining about like what mandalas are, and then the other one I think gets into like the gauge swatch and all that. So I didn't do a gauge swatch when I did my first one, and I'm not gonna do one this time either. What I'm gonna do is just work it up and keep an eye on it the way that you would for a gauge swatch and see if I'm fine. And that worked for me with the first one. I was totally good with the hook that is recommended, which is a 6.5 millimeter. So you're most likely going to use a 6.5 millimeter, but if you, you know, do the first beginning rows and he explains to you what to look for, like with cupping and stuff, and you feel like you need to switch to a bigger or smaller hook, it's going to depend kind of on your tension and stuff like that. Then you may use a different one. But you use a 6.5, and then there's like 1 or 2 rows where you switch to a 5.5, but it is noted in the pattern, and also he tells you in the crochet along. Okay, so that's that for the pattern, and then for the yarn, let me get back to the beginning of this. So, in his videos, he has links to, he has a link to where he has the pattern on his website, like a link to download the pattern, which is what I was just showing you. It's this. And then also in that link is a worksheet that he made. It's a 2-page worksheet. It's a little bit difficult to find. It is like separate. You'll have to download it separately from the other thing. So, but that is in there if you decide that you want it. So it just talks about the color sequence and like how the color sequencing works. Basically for this blanket, you pick a color to correspond with the letters A through G in the alphabet. And it can be any colors you want. These are like the examples of what Mikey did and what the original creator of the blanket did. And then these are the ones that I did last time. And what I did last time was I did like rainbow colors. So other than black, I did like Roy G. Biv. But the way that it works, you don't work it up in this order. You will switch to like random letters. So let me give you an example of that. When you're doing it, okay, so round 1, you're going to be working in A. 2, you're going to be working in B. 3, you're going to be working in C. Then 4, you're going to go back to B. 5, you're going to go back to A. 6, B. 7, D. 8, E. 9, F. You kind of get the idea. I'll just kind of read some of the letters after that. G, A, C, E, F, B, D, A. So it's not in order, is basically the gist of what I'm saying. And they do that because they have it sort of planned out, the way that the colors are going to come together to create your blanket. So you can stick with that if you want to, if you choose to do your letters corresponding like that. Last time I did correspond letters to colors, but I also did deviate from it semi-frequently. So that's totally up to you. But I did kind of like having that to refer to. This time though, I am just kind of going with the flow. I've got my colors, which I will show you here momentarily. And then I'm going to just kind of reach in, pick up a color and be like, okay, which color do I think will look good in the blanket next? So I'm not going to stick with the color order this time, and I want to see how that looks. I feel like this is something so cool about this blanket, and I sound like a broken record if you've been watching Mandala Tuesdays for a while, but there's so many different ways you can do this blanket that it looks like a completely different blanket. If you've been watching the Mandala Tuesday updates for a while, you'll have seen where I inserted pictures of other people's blankets that they were working on and sending in. They look totally different. Like, they're totally different blankets, and it is so cool. Like, they're all beautiful, but they're all really different. Like, they're really, like, individual blanket, which is so cool, considering it's the same pattern. So I think that not only is this blanket going to be really different because I'm doing it in a totally different color palette, because this is going to be a Christmas gift for someone and I'm doing it in their, like, favorite color palette. It also is going to be different because it's not following the sequence that they have down. So I just thought that would be kind of fun to toy with this time. So you can do that either way, and you don't need to print this out, by the way. I was just letting you know where it is in case you want to print it out. This first page basically just explains what the color sequence is, like examples of how it goes, and like what colors they used. That's pretty much what's on this page. And Mikey says that he marked the letters right on his ball bands. That way it was easy for him to not get confused. And then the second page of this is you can kind of draw, or you can kind of color out your color scheme. And then it also explains how to do the gauge check and a spot for you to write down what size hook you're using. So like I said, that stuff is also going to be in his crochet along videos, but this is just kind of a little worksheet you can have as you work on it. And for my first blanket, I thought it was like a little fun extra thing. I enjoy having like little worksheets and stuff, so I was totally there for that. So now I'm going to insert a clip where I show you the colors that I'm going to be using for this blanket. I may add more colors as I get into it, but for now those are the colors I have chosen. And I have multiple skeins of some of those ones that look smaller, and they, even though they look smaller, they actually still have a good amount of yardage in them. I want to say that, like, you know, a normal worsted weight yarn is like roughly in the 400 yard range, and then those kind of smaller looking ones are in like the 225 250 range, like something like that. So I have a few, I have like 2 of all of those littler ones, of smaller ones. So yeah, so here you go. Without further ado, these are the colors that I'm looking at using for this blanket. Okay, so here are the yarns that I'm going to be using for this blanket. I'm going to be using Big Twist Value, and this is 100% acrylic. Both of the, or actually, all 3 of these are. They have 380 yards, and they are in the shades Camel, rust, and dark teal. So those are those 3 colors. And then I will also be using some mustards because that is my sister's favorite color. So I have this Tender Touch Yarn Bee Mustard. And I've got a couple skeins of these because these are smaller ones. This Breathe Deep Mustard, which is very, very soft. Extremely soft. It's like butter. And this Warm and Cozy Mustard. And they all are different looking. So let me get them lined up and I can kind of show you. So this one is, it's got like some darker colors mixed in. I believe, let's see. I believe that this one, yeah. So this one is not 100% acrylic. It is 78% acrylic, 13% nylon, and 9% polyester. And then this one is the one that I was saying, it feels like butter. It is so soft, so smooth. This just glides through your fingers. This one is 100% polyester. And these are all 4-weight yarns, by the way. And lastly, of the mustards is this one. And this one is incredibly soft. This is the Tender Touch. It's like more of a fluffier one, but it is incredibly soft. And this one is 100% acrylic. And then the last color I'm going to be using, don't mind this extremely beat up looking skein, is this Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo Stripes. Well, Jumbo Stripes is just the size of the skein that I have. But this is in Latte Stripe, I believe. Yeah, Latte Stripe. It's a pretty beat up looking skein, but you can see the pretty color variations I have. I love to use this yarn for making my mushroom hats, but I think once I get a little bit further into the blanket where the variegation will actually show, this one will be a pretty one to add to the mix. So here is the overall kind of color palette I'm looking at doing, and I may or may not add things as I go, and like I said, for the smaller ones, I do have more than one skein, so that's what I'm using. So those are the colors that I'm going to be using, and I don't have a set amount of rows that I do per week. I just do what feels good for that week, depending on what else I'm working on and what I've got going on. Sometimes I'll get more rows done, sometimes I'll get less rows done. The further into the blanket I get, the less rows I will get done, especially towards the end. Those rows, they can take an hour or two to get around. But in the beginning, expect to see quite a few rows worked up in my weekly updates, because especially to start off with, you can sit down for like an hour and work up, you know, the first like 15 rows because, and I don't quote me on like that actually being how long it takes, I don't know. But my point is that, you know, in the first rows, you're having like, you know, 10 stitches or something like that. So you get the idea with the mandala blanket, how that's going to kind of go. And I have the same thing with you guys. Work at it at your own pace. Don't feel pressured. Don't feel stressed. This is a really relaxing project. I love it. It's really nice to just kind of get in a trance and, you know, be sitting there watching TV and just kind of doing your stitches for it. I really recommend it. The way that I do my blanket is I love to take it to bed where we sit and watch TV for an hour or two before bed and just kind of wind down. I think it's a great project for that. And I'm really looking forward to getting into this new one. I really enjoyed the whole process so much that I was like, let's go. I want to get another one going. And I have been like anxiously waiting for us to get it going, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a gap in between these blankets just in case you wanted to participate and you needed to get supplies, or you needed time to kind of marinate over colors. But next Tuesday is going to be our first update where we are working on the blanket. So feel free, if you've got your colors, to go ahead and start looking at the pattern and start kind of working it up. But next week I will show you guys the beginning of my blanket, and we'll have our first Mandala Tuesday with our new blanket. Super exciting. And don't forget, if you decide to join and you would like to share, no pressure to share. Even if you do decide to join, if you don't want to share, you don't have to. But if you want to, I love to see it, and I know that everybody else loves to see it. So my email is in the description, and you can feel free to send me updates. You can say a little bit about it if you want to. You can let me know what name you would like shared with it. And if you want to send it to me and you don't want it shared, that's totally fine also. Just say, hey, I just wanted to send you my update. Please don't include this in the video. Alright guys, that's everything, I believe. If I forgot anything, feel free to ask in the comment section. But otherwise, I will see you guys next Tuesday with the first video of our new blanket. Alright guys, I hope everybody has a great day, and I will see you later. Bye!